childish dreams. Happy Grammy Sunday!
It's Grammy's Day.
The day this is being posted, or will not be
posted
today.
Yeah.
Huh?
So the day it's being filmed.
No, but the day this is posted,
It will not be
the
Grammy
Grammys.
Day. You and I, we're going to the same place on different trains. Okay.
As long as we end up together, baby.
That's right.
Together, na 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 na.
We're there for each other.
Hey guys, welcome to Kristen Katie Read. I'm Kristen.
I'm Katie.
And we like to
Read.
Okay, today we are going to be discussing the Shades of Magic trilogy by VE Schwab. So this is going to be spoiler filled. So if for some reason you haven't read them and you want to, we're going to talk about all three books today.
Yes, we're going to be talking about all three books,
Yes.
which are
A Darker Shade of Magic. Wow.
A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light, which, great titles.
She's amazing. It's also a very, obviously these books came out before, but Shelby Mahern, the aesthetic, yeah, the red, the black, the white, I love it.
Incredible.
Plus gray, I guess we can tie gray in
I
there
was
too.
about to say, because there are so many editions of these books.
Wow.
A Conjuring of Light comes in gray, white, black, all of them.
It's wild. So obviously these books came out a couple years ago, so
we're a little late to the party.
We're a little late to the party, but so glad, because we're cool kids.
Glad we arrived.
Glad we arrived, because Bookstagram and BookTube are like obsessed with these books, and we thought,
We should see what they're
we're also pretty basic. If people like them, we're gonna like them, right?
So
it has all the things that I love: magic, love,
relationships.
Great, perfect. Sign me up.
All the things. Those are now the only things that you love. You said all the things.
That's it. That's what this whole. And that's the end of our review.
Great.
Cut. It's been a while since you've read them. Just a refresher. This is about 4 separate Londons, 4 separate worlds, if you will, where there's magic of some type. Some worlds have forgotten magic, some can still actively use it, some it appears have been totally lost for all time. So you've got red, black, white, and gray London. And we follow our main character, Kell. Almost called him Kaz. We have a lot of K main characters.
Yeah.
We follow our main character, Kell, who is an Antari, one of the last remaining magic people. You're an Antari if you can wield all of the elements, and
use blood magic.
And he is one of 2 people that we know who can travel between the worlds. So that's where we pick up in A Darker Shade of Magic, and I loved it.
I loved it. Yeah, let's do our first reactions.
Yeah, first reaction to the books and the world. I was hooked immediately. I think it has a really solid, intriguing open. I can almost visualize it like an opening of a movie where you see him traveling between worlds and talking to someone who doesn't, and the way his coat was changing, and it's just wow, there is so many directions this could go, and so many things that she does, ultimately things she does do, but there's so many things from the first chapter even that she doesn't really explore in this whole series. I just love how big this universe could be. Immediate reaction was, I loved it. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was also really, really great. Series as a whole, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. I love this world. The first book, to me, it focused so much on Kell and Lila that I love them. But once we got to book 2 and Rye and Alucard, just opening up the world a little bit more made me even more invested.
It's really interesting. It's not as extreme as the Throne of Glass series, but you start with such a small grouping, Lila and Kell, and basically just Holland. Those are your main characters of book 1. And to get all these other new characters where it's okay, well, it feels like a trilogy that's about all of them, but we don't even meet Alucard till book 2.
Yeah.
And it's only 3 books. It's wild.
Yeah. So.
And the other competitors in book 2 for the, what is it called? For the competition in book 2. That also to me felt so different from book 1, because book 1 is just oh no, I've made a mistake, and it's like just trying to stop this dark evil thing from happening.
I know, I loved it.
And then it's kind of like pause. It kind of felt like the wizard tournament.
Triwizard Tournament.
The Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah.
But like older
with
adults.
like lots of people coming together.
Yes.
I agree. I thought it was perfect for book 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just enough of a change up that we got to see our characters interact in different ways and see them really show off what the magic in this world can look like.
They're kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of like airbenders, like the last airbender, like you have an element that you can control. Also kind of reminds me of mutants. There's just not as many of like a wide range of powers. It's like you're either good with wind and elements, you're good, or water, fire, like what are the things?
You can be like
a dual.
Triad, or a duo.
Dual. There's not really many tri.
Isn't Alucard one?
I think he's like one of the only.
Yeah, but like you can, it's, most people have one, some people have 2, very rarely people can control 3 different elements.
Yes, and then you've got your 2 Ataris. But guess what? There's actually 3. Our girl Lila, look out!
I love Lila so much.
I love Lila despite what the audiobook did to me. I had to stop listening to it.
Yeah. The audiobook for book 1 is trash.
It's trash. Lila sounds like a dumb, uneducated 12-year-old pirate boy.
Yeah.
She's like, oi, what you doing? And it's like, why are you talking like that? She's supposed to have like a mysterious,
posh British accent.
Posh being the key word here.
Yeah.
Accent. And it's like, oi, hey, what you doing? And it's like, that's not even a British accent. I don't know what that is.
Also, it's like, they are young people. Kell is 21.
Mm-hmm.
So why on earth is the narrator 100?
Right, you can tell. I know it's a voice, but you can tell older voices. That's why, like, whenever the Star Wars rebooted, like, Luke's voice is so much deeper because he's lived 30, 40 years since, like, your voice changes as you get older. Were no young narrators available?
Yeah,
They were just trying to avoid an ageism lawsuit? What are we doing?
Yeah, is it just because it's an adult fantasy series?
Maybe.
That we couldn't get somebody, I don't know, 20?
It's, okay, this is interesting that this is an adult fantasy series to me because
there's not a lot of sex.
There's not a lot of sex, there's not a lot of cussing. I don't know what's different from, except that the fact that they are over the age of 18 is the only thing to me that makes this, they still are dealing with their parents. Like,
yeah.
It's still like he's struggling with not knowing his lineage, Kell is, and his brother, Rye, and he's the prince because his dad's king. So I kept thinking that his dad would die and that Rye would become king, like, earlier on.
Yeah.
But, like, it's very much so about them being children.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more graphic.
I guess it's a little darker.
The violence is, I would say, a little bit more explained.
Yeah.
In this. And like, White London is, like, rough.
Yeah, right. White London is dark.
So I feel like I agree. For an adult novel, I thought it was gonna have a lot more banging. To be honest.
I wish it was a little sexier.
I do. I wish. That's like my one complaint about this book is it's not very sexy.
Well, and I remember I texted you. I was 75% through the first book, and I was like, this is already almost over.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Adult fantasies to me are usually like a lot deeper and richer and longer, and I want so much more of this world. So I'm so glad it's continuing.
I do love. Whenever I read it, Lila and Kell had like just met, and I was like, wow, I'm already ready for them to bang. And you were like,
yikes. Me too.
Good luck.
I do like when they finally start hooking up. I thought it was gonna get sexier in book 2 because I love that Kell's like making out that girl and he's like, gosh dang it, I can't stop thinking about Lila. I love it.
I love that.
Again, I would love to see it. This should 100% be a TV show or movie.
100%. Wow. This should be a series. It is made to be seen.
The way she establishes the rules of magic in this universe, brilliant to me. It's simple to understand. And there's so many things you can do with it.
Agreed.
And there's so many things she didn't do. Like, it's crazy to me that it's so introduced in book 1 that Kell's lineage, we don't know who his parents are. On the one hand, I like that he doesn't know. I love that power is not passed on.
I love that. I love that power is not inherited.
It's interesting that that's such a plot, that power is not passed on, and yet there's still a monarchy where it's like Rye will be king because his dad was king. Like, it's not
right.
It's interesting to have the monarchy plus, but that doesn't matter power wise.
Right. Well, and just like the thinking that magic chooses the strong in Red London, and that I guess it would just kind of be assumed that anyone in this particular like favored family magic would choose.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting. I want to know how early on she knew she was gonna do follow-up series, because I feel like we spend all of that time in Grey London because that's where Lila's from, but all that stuff with like the King George who dies and then now his son's there and Kell talking to him, like clearly there's tension rising there. It's not resolved. Ned.
Yeah.
It's just showing us that like power's waking back up there. Again, it was wild to me that this was a 3-book series and that potentially was going to end with just this, because there's so much more that can be done. I love everything that's done.
Yeah, and honestly, it was so nice. Not a lot of series can pull that off.
Yes, and I just want
leaving a lot of threads just dangling,
but still feeling
like our characters can move on with their lives after book 3.
So let's talk about where we end with our relationships with our characters. So Lila and Kell, fantastic.
Together, sailing the world.
I love Lila's like showing someone that you want them is like a card, like you're showing them your hand. Yeah, and Kell just like wants her to be safe and he loves her so much.
I really love her and Kell's relationship.
I like that she's not a typical, like I like that she's a more complex female for the time. Like she's breaking standards of what a lot of women were doing, which I feel like a lot of the strong female characters we see don't do like this. Like I love the like really strong, the female captain of one of the boats, like one of the competitors. Like I feel like she's trying to show really strong women doing things. But I also like that she does get that like scene where she dresses up for the ball.
The dress moment.
Yeah, the dress moment. But
I like that she got to have like a subverted expectation in the first book where you think she's gonna have a dress moment and she buys the coat.
Yes.
And then she gets a dress moment in book 2.
Yeah, I like that we get both.
Love it.
So that's where we leave them. Those two, they're like happy.
Yes, traveling.
So we don't know where they're
because Kell has never left London.
Yes.
In his world.
Okay, and then Rye and Alucard. Love them. I love that Kell is so protective of Rye.
I know.
He's like, don't you dare hurt my brother.
I know, and I love that. That I feel like that's a thread that never is tugged either. That like Kell is the reason that he left for good.
Yeah. But I feel like Rye gets it that he didn't think Alucard was good for him. Like I don't think that he's mad at Kell that Kell did that.
Yeah. No, I don't either. But it's just not even. We don't see it.
Right, and it's also like I don't blame Kell for thinking any of those things about Alucard. Alucard doesn't do anything to stop him from making these assumptions about him.
Right, and it's like safer this way.
It's safer this way for everyone involved.
Or it was at the time.
All of the stuff with the House Emery is so interesting to me.
I agree.
Okay, so did his sister die?
Yeah, she did.
I just was not expecting that.
I know.
When Lila follows him, I also kind of like that there's like some tension there. Because they like spent time together, and I love that Emery can see, or that, I guess that's his name too, that he can see
magic,
that he immediately knows she's an Atari. He immediately knows.
I know.
Anyways, I'm getting off track. Rye and Alucard, I love their relationship. I love that the prince is just like so in love and enthralled with him, and like heartbroken when he leaves, and then is trying to like really protect himself, and then he comes back, and I love that he like finds him and saves him on there. I just love all of their storyline. Yes. It's so beautiful.
And I love that he, like, Emery didn't want to run.
Yeah.
Lila and him, like, crossed paths on this, him wanting to find a way home and Lila wanting to find a way out. And so I think it's really interesting that their love interests, like, give them what they want.
Yeah.
So Alucard can come home and be a palace guard and protect Rye, and Kell wants to leave. He wants adventure at the end of it. And
it's funny that like Emery and Lila are together and don't know that like the person that they're like thinking about the whole time, like they're brothers. But their scenes were spicier. Like I love their like like the make out on the neck, and then he like jumps out of the window. I was like, oh my goodness. But again, could have been spicier. I'm just saying.
Definitely the
Why
series.
qualify your book as adult if you're not going to be more adult?
Yeah.
What is the point?
Yeah.
Because at this point, you can get more readers, I feel like, under a YA label.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I don't know, it was a couple years ago. I know nothing about the inner workings of how books are decided genre-wise or how that decision's made, but...
Yeah. So,
are most of her other books, I know she has some YA.
So she has YA, adult, and like children's, like middle school.
So it's interesting to me when working with, I can see the struggle for Sarah J. Maas being like, no, I want to write adult when she's one of the most successful YA authors. Same thing with Cassandra Clare. They're like, well, if your books are going to be in a different section of the bookstore, like your fans might not be able to find them as easily.
Right.
Like, I understand that. For her, she wasn't super popular yet. Like, this is kind of the series that made her really popular.
Right. She was called an overnight success and she already had 8 books out.
LOL. But you know what I mean? I'm curious about how that came about.
Yeah. So thinking about where we left our 4, Raya's King,
Wow,
Lila.
his parents dying, so tragic.
So sad.
It was, again, there were real consequences though. We lost people.
Yes. So for Threads of Power, which is the sequel series.
Which I love that.
Love the name.
Already,
she's so good at this.
She's
My
well
God.
thought it out. It's great.
Yes.
Great.
So it's gonna follow 3 new characters several years after the events of this book. So we'll still see our 4 main characters.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll still be an important part, but I'm really excited because she said that 2 of them are going to be female.
Oh, cool.
And then 1 male character. Well, and I say that, but we don't know exactly what that will look like.
Right.
But I do think that that's something. I love Lila so much in this book, and she is such a good representation of not having to conform to gender norms.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I would have loved to have had even more female characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see what these new ones can do.
I think we'll see a lot more of Grey in London. I think that that's kind of what we were laying the foundation for that storyline, that power, like magic's returning there. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of this will be Grey London.
Threads of magic, like pulling on threads in Grey London. Yeah.
I am really curious. One of the only other characters we spent a lot of time with that I never really felt like, I kept feeling like a storyline was coming on and then didn't, was for Taryn. Like, he doesn't die. He's always just like a support for our characters and like teaches them magic and all this stuff. And I felt like there was a lot of foundation that he was going to betray them. Like, honestly,
100%.
I was like, is this going to be like a Hodge situation? Or like, he's the one who like
he's
helped
definitely
raise
like,
them.
Here, let me be like a guiding hand.
Yes. Yeah, because he's like, this is what happens with magic. You can get really tired and overdo these things. Like, foundation laid for him to be a bad guy. And then he isn't.
He lets everyone compete.
Yeah.
In the competition.
I do like that. He's like, this will be more interesting if they all compete.
I know, but I just love that it's like, I mean, if he were bad, that would be a good move.
Yeah.
I mean, again.
Right.
It's like Moody helping Harry. Like, it's just
I thought that was, do you think
yeah,
that was so
100%.
So I wonder if Taryn will be in it, but granted, like, he's so tied to Kell and Reese. Like, I don't know how he would be tied to our new characters, but anyways, right. I hope he's in the next ones, because again, how did he get to this position of the one who like teaches everyone about magic? Like, I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
The princess, and from the other from Red London's world, you have the other power players.
Yes.
The other whatever. I don't even know what cities they're from.
The other countries.
The other countries outside of London.
So there's Pharaoh?
Yes, again, like a storyline where it's like, oh, the princess is kind of like after them, that's not really resolved.
No, I really like that because you think it's like the ambassador of one of the countries is the bad guy.
And then
he's always like where he's not supposed to be, but really he's actually helping. And the princess who bonds with Rye while he's like going through some shit is actually the one that is setting up to murder people.
Mm-hmm. I did find that really interesting.
So
I feel like that could come into play, but because we're already dealing with like different worlds, it's hard to introduce like the political struggle within one world. Like, it seems like a lot of potential conflict, so I don't know if we'll explore that more or not.
And that London and, well, what's their empire called?
Heck if I know.
I don't remember.
We read these so fast.
We did. The country where London is, like what Kell and Rye are.
Yeah.
Like where they live. That it's seen as such a threat to the other countries that Kell belongs to the royal family.
While I like that Kell could be this person, it doesn't matter who his parents were. They could have been nobody.
Because it really doesn't matter.
It really doesn't, because that's not how you get power. I am really interested to know if it's like, if Kell knew where he was from, if he would have aligned with this family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hope that that's like kind of a twist. I still think he will, because he loves Rye, but I think he's gonna feel like, oh my goodness, like betrayed in some way. I don't know.
There were so many things that could be done with these different storylines that are untouched.
I know, it's
Untouched.
wild. Okay, so I know you already said your rating, but let's dive into it more. Give me your Goodreads rating and your 1 out of 10 scale rating.
For the whole series, Goodreads 5 out of 5.
Yes, all 3 books.
It's a 10 out of 10 for me. On the 10 for
retweet
100. I mean, these books are brilliant. I really like them. I immediately fell in love with this world. I wanted to know everything I could about the magic. I think the brother bond is super pure and just really built up for us to really care about them. Having them be linked, like their souls be linked.
So cool.
Loved it. And I loved the different kinds of relationships that we got to see.
Mm-hmm.
Kell and Lila are one of my favorite couples. I really like that he has that instinct to be overprotective, and throughout the series we see him like give the people he loves orders or be mad at them because he wants them to be safe, and him realizing
that
he can't. Like he's drawn to these very like reckless people, and he is also very reckless, but he's also very powerful. Yes. So he has like the talk to back, or you know, he can back up whatever he does.
Yes.
Where him chasing around like Rye and Lila trying to keep them out of trouble is just so funny to me.
So funny.
And I just really like that ultimately like Lila understands that she can't be so reckless and so willing to just let her life end.
Mm-hmm.
And that they kind of come to that understanding together of like Lila cannot be held down.
Yeah.
But Kell can go with her. I love.
Yes, I do too.
5
out of 5, 10 out of 10 for sure. I like that each story had a fresh feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Book 1.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Book 1, you're learning about all of the worlds and the magic in Holland and the power back and forth. Book 2 with the competition is a total change of pace.
And Kell and Lila are not together in that book.
I know. It's crazy.
Insane.
And yet I remember like their makeout scene and everything so well.
So
when they finally get back together. Normally my 2 main characters being apart for that long would bother me, but it does not bother me at all.
It worked so well in this.
It was perfect.
They thought about each other enough.
Yes. And then book 3 with just the history of the families and more of the
and the like
big
final battle. Yeah, it's like the final showdown is kind of the whole book, which is really interesting.
I find it interesting how much time they spend on boats in book 2 and book 3. And then like not at all. Like the sea is such a big part of book 2 and 3 and not at all in book 1.
But Lila thinks about the sea a lot because that was going to be her escape.
Her thing.
It really reminded me of Inej.
Oh yeah.
Wanting to get her pirate boat, her pirate ship.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
So
Lila also loves knives.
She really does. So we are very excited about Threads of Power. I'm just so excited for the aesthetic. Reading this book, VE Schwab did a really good job for me. I visualized this book and it felt very consistent. Aesthetically, it felt very consistent aesthetically, and I feel like that'll continue in Threads of Magic.
100%. She definitely knows how to hold on to a feeling.
Yes.
She's hooked on a feeling, if you will.
Until next time, guys, stay incest free.
Bye.
Bye.